All right, hey, sup, guys? So UFC 274 is this weekend, and we're gonna be here to preview the card and make some bets. Also, we are without one of our hosts this weekend. We don't have Dermer with us, or Alex, as you might know him. So it's just me and Lorenzo holding down the fort, and we're gonna talk about these fights. So
Awesome.
let's start off. Yeah, let's start off with Oliveira Gaethje, the main event. What do you think
Oliveira Gaethje. Man, this is a banger of a fight here. I think if you just said like 3, 4 months ago, or yeah, 4 or 5 months ago, you would go Gaethje all the way. But I'm a big believer in Charles Oliveira here. Good old Chucky, do Bronx here, the man who's inspirational here. I think this goes very much like the Dustin Poirier fight, except Gaethje has no ground awareness at all. Like I think if you get him to the ground, he's pretty much going to submit him, and Charles doesn't even need to take him down to get to the ground. Justin has been improving in his fight IQ lately, and those leg kicks are going to be massive, but I think DuBronx can probably take him down and then, just submit him.
Yeah, I think without a question, Charles is the better mixed martial artist. Like his game is definitely way more well-rounded than Gaethje, right? He's obviously exceptional on the ground, but then I think his stand-up is has improved a lot recently, and I think it's definitely like up there with the other guys in the division. Now, I do think Justin Gaethje does have better stand-up, um,
Hmm.
but I think Charles he does really good with like the front kicks. He does really well in the clinch, and then he also has a jiu-jitsu in the back pocket. Um, the thing that would scare me, and the thing that does scare me about betting on Oliveira, I do believe he will win this fight. I'm picking him to win. Is that man? He's very aggressive with his stand-up, and like you kind of saw it, like in that first round with Poirier,
Hmm.
where he was just willing to stand there with Poirier and then just like eat the shots and keep walking forward. And I mean, that's exactly what Gaethje wants him to do, right? Like he wants him to just get into a brawl, and then he might knock out Oliveira. And
Yeah.
that's where the scary part of this fight comes in. And I'm still gonna bet Oliveira, but like I don't mind Gaethje chances, especially with like how Oliveira is willing to be hit and how he is very hittable. You know?
Yeah. I completely agree with that too, because I mean, I rewatched round one, or I guess we watched the entire Charles and Dustin fight, and like I was surprised about how bad Charles did the first round. He got dropped twice, I think, in
Yeah.
that first round, and then through the ground, he was fine. He survived there because that's usually his game plan there. That's the only thing I worry about. I actually am super interested in who's going to do better in the clinch here because Charles, he did a lot of damage in the clinch. His knees were amazing. And Justin Gaethje does well in the clinch too with his uppercuts because I think he has Chandler fight too. So I'm going to be super interested who does better there, but I think Charles ultimately has more tools. I also think that if he gets knocked down, he always has his jujitsu in the back pocket to go back to. Um, yeah, so I think Charles will take this probably not comfortably. It's going to be very uncomfortable if you're betting on this fight here, but that's exactly what you want and what type of banger this main event's going to be.
Yeah. It's gonna be a fun fight, no doubt. And I think it's a great matchup, and I think it's a very suitable main event for a pay-per-view card. I think the round props are also interesting. Like I think like the over-under is like 2.5 rounds, I think, right?
Yeah.
Um I think the under is probably a solid bet. I think someone's gonna get finished. Um but yeah, but I also I'm just gonna side with Oliveira. I think he has more tools to win. I think he could even knock out Gaethje,
Yeah, I
honestly.
think so too. He's deceptive with his power. And honestly, this might be a bad comparison for you because Habib's the GOAT in people's eyes, but you saw that when you pressured Gaethje, he does kind of gas out there, and I think Gaethje's definitely underestimating Charles like everybody really does, and what he
Hmm.
can do. And I could just see him not playing that cool game plan anymore. I think he just gets overwhelmed by Charles because Charles is an intense pressure fighter, so he really can get you down pretty quickly if he
Yeah,
needs
I'm
to.
very curious. Yeah, I'm actually very curious on what Gaethje's strategy is because, like, yeah, we kind of saw like in the Khabib fight, it was like a totally different Gaethje. Like, it was a Gaethje that was just constantly moving. Like, he was just so scared of Khabib's grappling.
Mhm.
And I mean, Oliveira doesn't have like the wrestling that Khabib does, but like in terms of jiu-jitsu, like his jiu-jitsu is way better than Khabib. So, like, is Gaethje going to be scared of engaging with Charles like he did with Khabib, or is he going to be more like a normal Gaethje. I don't know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
I think
so
it's a very interesting fight.
exactly. And also, we're going to be seeing this live in person.
Oh
So,
yeah, yeah, we'll be there. We'll be in
yeah,
the
it's
building.
banger main event here. So I think we
Yeah,
both go with Charles all the way here, but it's going to be a nail biter. Um,
yeah,
Next one then.
yeah. Next one, Rose Namajunas versus Carla Esparza 2.
Two. This one's a really interesting one here because in their first encounter for the Ultimate Fighter, they both made it to the finals here, and Carla Esparza ended up winning here. And by Rose's own words, that's the first time she ever quit in a fight. And now they're in two very different places in their career. Um, I saw a fun statistic that half of Rose's fights have been championship fights in the UFC, which is
That's
insane to
crazy.
think. Yeah, she only has 11-4 record, which isn't bad, right? When you consider that. I think that the smart money is Rose because Rose has improved a lot with her stand-up. She's one of the few people who has power in this division and in women's MMA in general here. Um, and she's not bad on the ground either. But I will say that I'm going to side with the Cookie Monster here. I think her wrestling's really good. Whaley had some success with the wrestling. Also, Carla Esparza has a great chin as well. I also imagine that she's, been training for this for a year. She's going to go as hard as she can, and she's going to eat some damage. But I could just see her laying on Rose and then maybe hitting some nasty elbows here, as I think her wrestling is better than Rose's jiu-jitsu. That last fight against Jan, Piotr Jan, of course.
Yan
She
Xiao Man.
busted. No, 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 Piotr Jan. We're an anti Piotr Jan channel when Dermer's in here.
Yeah.
It was an ugly, ugly victory. Jan looked really bad at the end of that there. So I think Carla Esparza is who I'm picking, but the smart money is Rose.
Yeah, this is a good fight as well. It's going to be very interesting to see this fight because obviously the first fight, like Esparza dominated and then finished Rose. But yeah, like you were saying, that was like Rose very early on in her career. I believe she was 22 years old when that happened, and now
Mhm.
she's 30 years old. She's definitely way improved, but so is Esparza. So I think it's interesting. I'm going to side with Rose. I think she will win. I think she has improved as a fighter a lot more than Esparza has improved.
Mhm.
I think Esparza is pretty much the same fighter as she was back then. Probably got a little better in the striking, but ultimately the same game plan. I think Rose's movements just really good. She has like very good lateral movement. That's going to make it hard for Esparza to get in on Rose's legs and be able to take her down. But I mean, I think Esparza could be a good underdog pick here. It may even be a good live bet if like if you see the first round and like Esparza is able to like take her down quite
Mhm.
comfortably and control her there, and then like maybe like Rose slows down a little bit, and all of a sudden she's a little tired, and then like Esparza starts like chaining in the takedowns in later rounds. I think that's totally a possibility, but I I think more likely than not, I think Rose defends the takedowns and on the feet, I just Carla cannot compete with Rose. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's completely fair.
yeah,
What's the game plan then? Is she gonna try to knock her out, or do you think she's gonna try to outpoint her, like from the outside, and then, just stop the takedowns?
yeah. I think she's gonna do a lot of lateral movement. Like I think she's gonna be kind of scared of the takedowns, especially at the beginning.
Hmm.
And just because also, I mean, she knows like in the back of her mind that like the first time they fought, like she got dominated by Carla. So I
Yeah,
think that's gonna be in the back of her mind. I think she's gonna be a little cautious at the beginning,
yeah.
and then kind of feel her way into the fight. But yeah, I mean, I think Rose could certainly knock Carla out, but I think we see like with a lot of Rose's finishes, like if you look like the Zhang Wei Li finish, it's like it was a really good finish, but ultimately it was just Zhang
A
Wei Li was
flash
not.
knockout.
Yeah, it was a flash knockout. Like Zhang did not see the head kick coming. So I mean that could happen, but I mean that could happen in any fight. And then like she caught Joanna, like good for her, but we saw in the second fight that she wasn't able, like she doesn't have that same like it that knockout certainly wasn't the case in that second fight. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
I think this fight's gonna go to finish. I think that's the most likely outcome.
gonna go to finish or decision?
Or go to decision. Sorry.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I think that's fair. I could see Carla Esparza winning this via split decision because when I was looking at Rose's record, and this is what surprised me, she has a surprisingly a large amount of quote unquote controversial decisions. Well, not
Hmm.
controversial, but like where the media scored it for the other person as well.
Hmm.
Well, not like completely, but you had a few judges. Like, the Wei Li fight, some people scored it for her. And even the Joanna second fight, apparently some people scored it for Joanna too. And I'm like,
Yeah,
huh. So like Carla Esparza definitely has some split decisions, but I could see this being a split decision for Carla if she just wrestles her. Um, yeah, so that's basically where we're at. We're splitting the pick here.
yeah,
But we both agree that Rose is probably the smart money.
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Moving down, we have Michael Chandler versus Tony Ferguson.
Damn.
Man, this is, you know, they're not they're not doing Tony Ferguson any favors by putting up against Michael Chandler. I mean, Tony Ferguson last couple fights it just looked really, really bad. I mean,
Yeah.
like against Dariush, just got totally ragdolled, and even on the feet, just like wasn't looking good. Like Dariush was
Hmm.
tagging him on the feet. And then pretty much the same with Oliveira. And then like Gaethje, he had success early on in the round with Gaethje, but then like later, I mean, he just turned into a punching bag, and Gaethje just destroyed him. Um, I don't know,
Yeah.
man. I think Tony slowed down a lot. I don't think he's gonna be able to pull this one out against Michael Chandler.
Well, this is another one where I'll say it's a heart pick because I think Michael Chandler by pretty much every metric here except maybe cardio, and even then we don't know,
Yeah.
should beat Tony Ferguson, especially in a 3 round fight. Maybe if this was a 5 round fight, maybe, but in a 3 round fight, Michael Chandler is explosive. He hurt Gaethje really badly twice there. He hurt Charles badly. He knocked out Hooker. He's really explosive in all aspects of the game. And Tony just hasn't looked good in his last 2 to 3 fights here, right? That Gaethje fight's just really uncomfortable here. The only
Hmm.
thing that gives me a little bit of hope is I watched his interview with Tony, as you should. Even if he's not the fighter he used to be mentally, he's always interesting. And
Hmm.
he's basically said some stuff that was really interesting, but also like, how stupid are you? He's a company man through and through. He'll do what the company does because he comes from a very working class background where that type of stuff is rewarded, right? And not holding out
Hmm.
isn't. So he said that well, first he cut weight for the Gaethje fight twice, which is stupid. Second, when he said the Charles fight, he said he did a company a favor by taking the fight on short notice, and he didn't practice jujitsu for that fight. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. He said that because I
uh,
watched his interview, and I'm like, what? How stupid are
that's
you?
funny.
And then he actually had an explanation for the Benio Dariush fight where he said that the boxing, he basically just had a bad game plan that really confused him because essentially he was practicing like boxing and the fundamental a jab is part of the boxing, but his coaching staff said just go for the knockout, Tony, just go for the knockout there. And Tony was basically conflicted about what to do. And so he said that's why he seemed like he froze up in the headlights. And he said he's just here to have fun now because he just wants to go and have the most fun fights. And the scariest thing about this interview is he has more fights on his contract, and he wants to fight them all out. That's just the type of guy
Yeah.
Tony is. Now, this is the one way I see Tony winning, everybody. There are two ways I see him winning, but you should bet Michael Chandler pretty much as a parlay piece. Um, Chandler gasses from being so explosive that he doesn't knock out Tony because Tony has an iron chin, and I still think it's there to be honest. Um, Second is that well he gasses out, then Tony just beats him up. Second is that Michael Chandler goes for like a takedown, he gets caught by something. Um, but they both want to bang for better or for worse here. But Michael Chandler is the smart money. But I'm going with El Kukui because of my love for him, I guess, or sentimental value. That's it. Chandler, easy pick though.
Yeah, it's just really sad. I mean, it's really sad to see Tony nowadays. Like if you, I did watch a bit of that interview, and you can just see in his face that like he just looks old now. I mean, he's 38, but he just
Hmm.
like you just compare him like a couple years ago, he just looks a lot older. Like he's like losing his hair, like
Hmm.
graying a little bit. It's just, yeah. I mean, I gotta pick Michael Chandler here. I think I do agree with you. Like the biggest weakness in Chandler's game is his fight IQ. Like he's just not very intelligent in the ring. You could tell definitely based in that last Gaethje fight where
Yeah.
in that third round he was just like standing in front of Gaethje with his hands down, like taking shots to the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chandler. I mean, look, Chandler. He's really exciting, and he wants to go out there and be exciting. So he's definitely gonna want to go out there and chase the finish. And so if he does that and doesn't finish Tony, then yeah, he might just gas out, and then Tony could somehow win. That's the only way I see it. I mean, because like also like Chandler's actually really good at like defensive jujitsu.
Hmm.
He's never been submitted before. I don't see Ferguson, like especially this version of Ferguson, being able to submit Michael Chandler.
Yeah.
Um, but I could see Chandler gassing out and maybe Tony finishing him or something. I don't know.
Yeah, Chandler, I don't think he has a suspect chin necessarily, but crazier things have happened, right?
Yeah,
Um, so Michael Chandler is the smart money, everybody, but if El Cucuy wins, I'll be very happy. And then sad when he probably gets paired against somebody. He'll get paired against a killer, probably.
yeah. They put him against like Fiziev or something.
Or they'll put him against Islam, right? But
That would be cruel.
yeah,
That would
it
be
really
cruel.
would be. All right,
Yeah.
next fight.
All right, next
We're
fight. Yeah,
gonna glance over these fights.
we're gonna glass over some of these. So OSP versus Shogun, who I mean, this would have been a good fight in 2016, but it's 2022, and these two are really old. I think, yeah, Shogun is 40, OSP is like 39, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is really old, late in their careers. Both of them have looked really bad in their recent fights. Like Shogun tapped to strikes against Paul Craig, which is really
Yeah,
bad. He was kind of doing good at the beginning, but then yeah, he just got taken
caught.
down, and yeah, I mean, you don't
Well,
want to
not
see.
caught.
Yeah,
Like,
when you start tapping to strikes, it probably means you're on your way out. Especially like
mhm.
I mean, Shogun had some crazy fights back in the day.
Yeah.
And then
Uh,
yeah, but then at the same time, it's like OSP is just like also looked really bad. Like he like against Tanner Boser, like Tanner Boser was just like lighting him up. Like Tanner Boser looked like Cyril Gahn against OSP, and just OSP is just like really slow. He just doesn't throw a lot. Like he's super slow and he doesn't throw a lot of volume, which is like I don't know how that's possible, but yeah,
it's a tough fight, yeah, because like
it's
they're
okay.
both not good looking. Well, not good looking in the ring, I mean.
Yeah,
But like Paul Craig isn't necessarily bad, but like when I saw him against Big Nog, and it was a split decision, and they look so bad. I mean,
yeah.
they look good for their age, obviously, but now he's older, and it's not going to be good. And I was originally signed with OSP, and I still think if you're going to bet, he should be the person here. But like when you lose to Tanner Boser via knockout, and Tanner Boser is somebody who you would kind of expect to light you up via volume. He doesn't really have knockout power there. He's just gonna go pip 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 pip. Um, yeah, I don't think yeah, I don't have much faith in that there, but OSP is probably just more skilled. He's also younger.
Yeah, slightly younger, and I think like he looks better physically too. He's gonna
Hmm.
be the bigger fighter in there. So yeah, I'm gonna side with OSP, but not something I'm looking to bet on.
Yeah, this might be the bathroom fight, to be honest. As
Yeah,
disrespectful as that sounds.
yeah. They need to stop putting these just legends. Like I think there's some fights in the pre like Brandon Royale versus Matt Schnell. That should be on the main card in my opinion. But no,
Yeah,
they
they're
have
promoting these legends here.
yeah.
Yeah. I
And so
understand
that brings us to our
Cowboy.
next fight. Yeah, which is Cowboy Cerrone versus Joe Lauzon. Another legend v legend, I guess, if you could consider Joe Lauzon a legend, type of
Hmm.
fight in the main card. I don't know. I don't have much feelings on this guy on this fight. I mean, Cerrone has looked really bad recently, but Lauzon's just been really inactive and also
Yeah.
like not that good recently.
So
So, yeah,
if
I don't
you're
know.
gonna break down this fight, and we're gonna do a quick breakdown because I don't think we're very interested in this. The only really good thing you could say about Cowboy's last performances are that I guess they're against good competition.
Hmm.
He lost to I mean actually Ferguson, Gaethje, McGregor, Pettis, Nico Price he lost, but
He
via
lost to
like
Angel Price. Yeah,
yeah, it
yeah,
was a draw, but then don't contest. And then he lost to Alex Morono, who's pretty good, but when Alex Morono's latest win is Mickey Gall,
yeah.
I mean, it's whatever. And Joe Lauzon It's just that he's inactive. His last win against Jonathan Pierce ages very, very well. And that is
Yeah,
literally the only reason I'm going to choose him. He probably has less fight damage on him. He's also a little bit younger than Cowboy. I think this is at 155 too, if I'm not mistaken. And as you get older, it's harder to make that weight cut. So considering, I think Alex Morono is even at 170. I don't think this does Cowboy any favors here.
no.
So that's the only reason I'm feeling Alex Morono as, or not. uh, I'm favoring Joe Lauzon as the underdog too. That's literally the only reason.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, this is a stay away from me. I don't really have much of an opinion on this fight.
Mhm.
So let's go on to the prelim. So we're just gonna talk about some of the prelim fights that we think are interesting. We're not gonna cover all of them.
Mhm.
So one we're gonna cover is Macy Chiasson versus Norma Dumont. Lorenzo.
Yeah. So this is a featherweight bout here. And this is between Macy Chiasson, who is how do I put this? She came in with a lot of hype, but she hasn't lived up to it there. And in fact, just gonna say this right now. Your parlay piece should probably be Norma Dumont. That's how much better she is than Macy Chiasson. Macy Chiasson is actually pretty decent on the feet there. She does have legitimate knockout power as well. She just, I don't know, when she listens to Raquel Pennington, and Raquel Pennington is actually pretty good. I'm not going to deny
Mhm.
that there. She proved me wrong. But when you fight somebody like Norma Dumont, who is a really, really good grappler, like really good, she's also good on the feet here. She beat Aspen Ladd, which isn't too much to write home about there, but she's a legitimate 145er. The only person who beat her is Megan Anderson, who's actually really good there. Me, and I think she's just comparable on the feet, but if she ever gets this to the ground, I think Norma Dumont is just going to dominate Macy Chiasson. Macy Chiasson does not look good on the ground here. So Norma Dumont via parlay piece. You know?
Yeah, I'm with you, and I think like Dumont's stand-up's pretty good too. I don't
Hmm.
even know if like Chiason's better in the stand-up necessarily, even though Chiason's the stand-up fighter, you know. So
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
like Dumont here
Hmm.
for sure. Um,
Flyweight.
yeah. All right, next one we have Brandon Royval versus Matt Schnell. So I did a good amount of tape study on this fight. I think this is definitely a good fight in the flyweight division. I'm pretty high on Brandon Royval. I think he's very good and definitely deserves to be in the discussed as like the elite in that division, in my opinion. He's had some really good wins too. Like recently against Rogerio Bontorin, that was a good win. He also has a his most notable win is probably over Kai Kara France, who um, is probably next in line for the title after Moreno. And that was a really good win where, you know, he just like pressured Kai Kara France and then ended up submitting him. Really good win. Whereas Matt Schnell, like he doesn't really have any notable wins on his record. And in fact, he even lost to Rogerio Bontorin, who Ravel beat. But yeah, I mean, like he beat Tyson Nam, like nothing to write home about.
Right.
Espinoza, who's cut, Smoka, who is not good, and then yeah, his other fights just not very good. And so Matt Schnell, he's a striking specialist, I would say. But I just think like Royval is even better than him in the striking. If you even want to compare, like Bontorin, like Matt Schnell lost to Rogerio Bontorin pretty clearly in the stand up. Like he just got outstruck by Bontorin, whereas
Hmm.
Royval was piecing up Bontorin, standing up, and the only reason the fight was close was that Bontorin was able to take it to the ground where he was able to control Royval for a little bit. Where you know Matt Schnell does not have that ability whatsoever. He's not gonna out grapple Brandon Royval. And so, yeah, I just think wherever the fight goes, I think Royval is better. The only thing is, like, I guess Matt Schnell, I think he's a little faster than Royval. He's a little more technical with his strikes.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I like Royval all day. I think he's better everywhere, especially in the jiu-jitsu. Um, yeah, I think he's gonna get it done. Probably
Remind
piece.
me, was Royval the one who did like a spinning back fist or spinning elbow when he got taken down in his last fight, and we were like,
Yep,
he's the
yep,
new Tony. Yeah, okay.
yeah. He's the flyweight Tony Ferguson. Yep.
Yeah, so he's the non-sad version now. But yeah, I think you covered it pretty well. I think the best way to put it here, is that Brandon Royval is essentially the number one title shot, contender title shot here. Brandon Moreno there, but I also think Pantoja should have gotten a title shot here, but then you just have this weird situation with Brandon Moreno and Figueiredo
Yeah.
there. He's like
Well,
that good in this division here.
I think he was scheduled for a title shot, and then I think he got injured, and then Moreno kind of slid in.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So he is the number one title. He's not the gatekeeper. He's what would be a good now? The Yoel Romero of this division, essentially. He's the Jose Aldo at 145. He's the, I guess,
Yeah,
Piotr Jan at 135, right? He is the number one contender fight if you beat him.
yeah,
So parlay piece all the way.
yeah. Um, Andre Fialho versus Cameron VanCamp. I think this is also, speaking of parlay piece, another parlay piece. What do you think about this one?
I think Fialho is just better. As simple as that. Cameron Van Camp is also coming in with not a much of a camp there. It's pretty short notice. We didn't even know this was a thing until like 2, 3 days ago, I think.
Yeah.
Um, and then I was surprised when Fialho was a plus 250, I think, underdog against Miguel Baeza, because he may have
Hmm.
lost against Michel Pereira, but that fight shows what a chin he has there. It shows the heart he has, and honestly, on the independent circuit, this dude is good, man. He knocks people out. He has real power here. Um, and I think he's gonna take it to Cameron Van Camp. I don't think Van Camp's gonna get him to the ground there. I could see maybe Fialho taking a few shots, knocking him down, but Fialho is somebody who is a very fun fighter. He might be ranked someday, but he's someone to watch here. I would say parlay piece as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard not to pick Fialho here. I mean, he's a power puncher, knocked down Miguel Baeza in the last fight, obviously, but also just really good grappling defense, I think. Like against Pereira, he was able to stuff some of his takedowns, and that's probably going to be Van Camp's way to victory. I watched some of his regional fights just in preparation for this, and yeah, he's definitely like a jiu-jitsu specialist, but from what I've seen, his takedowns aren't that good. Like there are like a lot of like body locks and stuff like that. It seems like he doesn't have much of a wrestling background, if I would guess.
Hmm.
And he gets hit a lot. And against a power puncher like Fialho, I just think that's a bad recipe. I think Fialho is going to knock him out.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
All right. Tracy
So,
Cortez versus Melissa Gatto.
so Tracy Cortez versus Melissa Gatto here. This is one that I think is really good for the underdog again. So Tracy Cortez is a really, really hype prospect. Um, for the women's flyweight division here. She's dating Brandon Ortega, which might be relevant for this fight because Melissa Gatto is really excellent on the ground there. I think the way that Melissa Gatto is going to win this here is probably grabbing her, holding her, and then probably submitting her as well. Tracy Cortez is more of a wrestler, but unless Brandon Ortega is teaching her jiu-jitsu, I don't think much. One cap in Tracy Cortez's feather is that she beat Justin Gaethje, who is the current Bellator Women's Champion here, but it was by split decision, and it's one of those things where I don't know if she won the decision. I even checked up, and it was a controversial decision. I think she lost it, but crazier things have happened. The only real cap in her feather that I could see is that she beat Erin Blanchfield via split decision. I'm really high on her, but I didn't see that
That's
fight.
a really good win.
Yeah, but that was also like when she was 20, Erin
Yeah.
Blanchfield. Uh, yeah, when she was no, that was when she was yeah, 2019 or 20 or 29, 20 or 19.
Yeah.
But I just think that Melissa Gatto and I think Tracy Cortez, she's not that much better on the feet. She is better on the feet, but if she takes her down, I could see her even if she tries to control Gatto on the ground. Gatto could get a submission from the bottom. She could get a Kimura lock there, or she could just take her down and control her here. So I think Melissa Gatto might be a live bet as well. If she can't do much on the ground, you might want to choose Cortez, but I believe in Gatto's ground game over Tracy Cortez's. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I don't have much of a feeler on this fight. Tracy Cortez's resume is pretty impressive. I mean, yeah, so like the victory against Justin Gaethje is pretty good. I think the Stephanie Egger win's also pretty good. I like Egger looked really good in her last fight, submitted Jessica Rose Clark. So just the fact that, she's able to get a win over her is really good too. And then obviously the Aaron Blanchfield win is pretty good as well. So
Hmm.
yeah, I don't have much of a feeler on this one, but I don't know. I like Cortez's record.
Yeah,
All right,
that's fair.
yeah, let's yeah,
The media scored it
sorry,
for Blanchfield though, but it's
yeah.
whatever. Uh,
All right, so yeah, I guess last fight we should talk about is Lupita Godinez versus Ariane Carnelossi.
Um,
Uh,
this is the one fight where I think we will be talking about in the future that damn, I can't believe we actually saw that fight and we didn't realize how good it was there. Because in our last UFC card, we saw Piotr Jan fight. We saw Angela Hill fight. We saw Tai Tuivasa. We saw Sterling and Munoz, Calvin Kattar, Lamas. We saw a lot of really good talent there.
yes, I believe
Um,
that was UFC
238.
238. Yeah,
Yes.
238. Segudo versus Moraes. Yeah, so we were there live for that one, and yeah, we saw
Yeah.
a lot of good up and coming fighters at that point that we didn't really know were good.
Yeah, until then. And I think this is
Yeah.
one we'll be telling it in like maybe a few years, maybe 2, 3 years. They're like, wow, I can't believe you saw this fight. These two women are going to be ranked one of these days here. Um, I'm high on both of them here. I think Lupita, she's just game AF here. Um, she looked pretty good in her last fight against Lupi here. She's pretty good of a grappler. She'll fight on short notice. She fought up a weight class and she lost, but it's whatever, right? Up a weight class, short notice. The only problem is that I don't know if her fight IQ is necessarily the best thing because when her against Jessica Penne and Jessica Penne, great veteran here, it was only split decision loss, but she she was like holding her up. How do I put this? It was not a backpack position, but it was close to it. And then
Hmm.
Lupita probably should have just slammed her, but she just kept her against the fence, and that's about it. And that's kind of a
Hmm.
dumb decision. And Ariana, just look at her picture. She's buff. She has great cardio. Has ugly striking, but I think that she's a very frightening person because her striking's good. Her takedown defense is good. She did lose to Angela Hill, but that was via doctor stoppage because of a cut. I think Carnelossi is a real problem for this division as she gets better and better. So I'd probably have Carnelossi, especially as an underdog.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think technically, I think Lupita is the better grappler. I was really impressed. So like against Loma Lubumi in her last fight, I was pretty impressed by her grappling there.
Hmm.
Thought she showed like really good takedowns, really good wrestling, and maybe she'll be able to do the same for Carnelossi. But I think you definitely point out that like Carnelossi is just really shredded and really big, especially compared to Lupita. She definitely has a lot more muscle than Lupita, so maybe
Hmm.
that size is going to be a problem for Lupita, and maybe she won't be able to get those same takedowns. And then, yeah, who knows? Um, yeah, so
Yeah.
I think Carlos is definitely a good underdog pick,
Hmm.
but it's nothing that I'm interested in betting.
That's fair. I guess we go to our bets.
Yeah, let's go to our bets. So, um, all right, let's go to my bets first. So, I have Oliveira by knockout or submission at -110. I
Nice.
have 2.5 units on that. And then I have a parlay. I have the Rose Carla fight going to a decision and Oliveira Gaethje to not enter the fourth round parlayed. And that's plus 135, 2.5 units on that. And then I
Hmm.
have a parlay. I have Fialho, Chandler, Royval parlay at plus 121, 5 units down on that.
Nice, nice. And we will say that even though Dermer isn't here today, he still submitted his bets here, so I can actually take care of that and read that
All right.
right off for us here. So Dermer has oops, let me just scroll down. Dermer has here we go. Gaethje, 4 units at plus 152. He has Esparza, 4 units at 176, and he has Michael Chandler by points at plus 260. That might be juicy, actually. I didn't know that. With
And
two units.
that's a good one.
That's a really good one. I'm going to question stuff in the future. All right, so my bets here. I have Oliveira and Esparza. They're all 2.5 units at plus 143. I have Carnelossi, Gatto,
Wait,
and
no, they're
Norma.
definitely wait. That's definitely not true. If you parlay Carla Esparza and Oliveira,
Yeah.
I'm looking at it, it's plus 327
Wait,
because
what?
Esparza herself is plus
Oh
175.
no, no. I think that's via decision. It goes to decision, right? That's a good one. And Esparza goes to decision. Not like Esparza Rose goes to decision.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, that
that makes
actually
more
that
sense.
makes more sense. Yeah. Uh, then I have Carnelossi, Gatto, and Norma, a woman's parlay at that's not right. And my odds are fucked up. 672. And I have Fialho, OSP, and Joe Lauzon at 144. And I have Ivanov, Fialho, Norma, and OSP at 293. So pretty safe week. I did bad last week, everybody. I missed all my bets, so it'd be like that.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah, I'm at Owen.
All right, this is Cold Takes MMA. Like, comment, and
Right.
subscribe.
Peace, y'all.